45 minutes to do a question and answer series about tons of different things that we've covered up till this point. And then after that, we're going to move on to the next way that we can find people. Are we clear? With hostesses, okay, we know how to sample and we know how to follow up correctly. But how do you have people do that when they're hosting a class, right? And this is exactly what you need to do. You sit down with them at the wellness consult and you go over, okay, I'm super excited that we have this class scheduled, and it should be at least a couple weeks out, so it gives you time, right? I'm excited we have this class scheduled. Let me show you all the steps that it took that I did for you to come to the class and have the experience that you had. And so you write down, right? I called you up. I dropped off a sample. I followed up with you 2 days later. I offered another sample. I followed up again. I invited you to a class. I called 2 days before, and I texted 2 hours before. And you literally write it in front of them. And you say, I want your friends and family to have just as good of experience with essential oils as you did. So this is what we're going to do. I want you to look here at these steps. You tell me what you are willing to do and what you're willing to be involved with, right? How much involvement you want, and I'll do the rest. It's that easy. Now watch what happens. If somebody says, you know, I actually, can I just give you a list of names and you could do the whole thing? You just barely got, and you just said, sure. I'm going to go ahead and take care of them, right? And you would enroll them, and you would explain to them that someone has to take care of people, right? So if they sign up, obviously this is not a builder or a share, so immediately you know where to place them in your organization. We're going to be talking about placements tomorrow. And then you can have that conversation, well, all of these people need to be taken care of, so when they enroll, I can totally incentivize you for them enrolling, but then I'll just go ahead and take care of them after. They're like, yeah, that's fine. Are we clear? Then you can place them where? Anywhere in your organization. Is this a bad deal? No. You're now tapping into somebody else's warm market instead of using your own warm market that might already be tapped out. What if you have somebody that says, okay, well, it's like my sister and my family, so it'd be really weird if like you called them, so I'll call them and I'll drop off the first sample, but can you do all the follow-up and all that kind of stuff? Like, will you do all that? I'm like, sure, great. And then you just have a conversation when it gets closer and see how engaged they want to be, and we're going to get a little bit clearer about that. What if somebody says, oh, I totally got that, I'll do all that. What do you have on your hands? Yeah, you have a builder. You just have to like nurture them. Are we clear? Any questions about that? Super easy, right? You just write it out for them. I want you to have I want them to have the same experience you did. You had an awesome experience. Now, when it comes to classes and enrollments and hosting, I'm going to take 5 questions. Come to the front right here. Actually, up here is easier than there because I'm just going to take 5. Anybody? No questions? I have 1. We're talking about 2. We're just talking about hosting classes and, okay, we got enough. Stop. Okay, we already got 1, 2, 3, 4. What? No, it's okay. Like sampling. Well, we're not talking about that right now. It's sampling. We're doing hosting and things like that. Okay, come on up. Okay, we're done. We have 5? Oh, we have 1 more. 1 more. You're fine. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so my question is more particularly about the people that have gone stagnant in the organization that don't believe in the products anymore. So what do you do with them? Like sampling them again? Do you try to reactivate them with this?
You are sneaky. This is not a question about hosting.
Well, same thing with hosting. That could
No, that's sneaky. Right there. That's the sneaky part. Basically, you're asking, how do you reactivate leaders, right? That's what you're asking.
Yeah, I guess.
Is that what your question is?
Yes.
How do you reactivate leaders? We're going to talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
All about reactivation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next person. We're totally talking about it tomorrow. You'll like it.
Okay, so
And by the way, I wouldn't do sampling because they already know. They already know that the oils, they're using oils. So sampling isn't going to help. Talk about it tomorrow. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Okay, yeah.
Hi, so my question is, if you have someone hosting and they say they don't want to do any of the steps, how do you incentivize them? What does that mean?
Well, you've already incentivized them with a keychain.
Okay.
And them coming, right? They've already signed up for the class, they took the keychain. So basically you just have to get clear how involved they want to be. So you don't really need to incentivize them. You've already incentivized them with a keychain. I don't.
Okay, so you don't give them a portion of the
Like
commission?
for instance, if they're not going to get commissions from it, like if you're going to be taking an enrollership, is that what you meant?
Yes.
Is that what you meant? Okay. Yeah, you could do products. You can incentivize them with products. You can incentivize them with, fast starts. So you can just talk that through.
So would you give
Talk
them,
right into this.
So would you give the hostess all of the fast start if they don't want to do any of the steps?
Yes, just kidding. Usually, product is the best way. You could say, if that's okay, I'll totally take care of all your friends and family. They'll have a great experience like you. And just so you know, I want you to also have a great experience with this too. So people that show up, let's say if they purchase, 1,000 points or whatever, I'd love to give you, and you just throw out, whatever you'd like to do. I give you 100 points of product, 150. They're like, that's awesome. Whatever you want to do. Yeah, that's how you do it. You can't put it into a box. You have to work on it individually because it depends on how much they want to do and how much they don't want to do. But most of the time, I go in assuming that the hostesses want to do the whole thing. I don't just say, well, you only want to do this, right? You just have to give me a list of your people. I'll just say, this is what we do, and this is how we're going to, just like I did it. And if they go, oh, I don't know, that's a little bit too much. I'm like, okay, tell me what steps you want to do, and then I'll fill in. Does that make sense?
So if they want to do some of the steps, do you give them the enrollership?
It depends. It depends on the situation. You're done with questions. You really have to just take it a person at a time. Like if it's your sister, it's going to be different than, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Can you help us ease the transition for the next couple of weeks? Like I can't say, hey, I've done this to you because I haven't been doing that. Like say I have a class in 2 weeks. Does that make sense? I can't say, well, this is what I did to you because you haven't been doing
I
that.
understand what you're saying. So if you have a hostess
Right.
that you're talking to, you can't be like, you know how you went up through all these things, and they're like,
Exactly.
that didn't happen to me.
No, the shit show you showed me was not that.
Allyse and McKay, please leave the room. What I would say is that, well, that's actually a question with every single thing you've been learning. How do you go back and be like, hold on just a second, let's wind this up, right? So what I would say with everything, not just this, with everything else, is I've learned, we've been doing about 90% right, but if we could do a few tweaks, I've learned that it makes all the difference in the world. And these are the tweaks that I want to do because I've learned from people that are having incredible success all over the world. And so even though we didn't do this with you, this is how I'd like to do it with your friends and family. Which part do you want to be a part of? That's how I would say it. Do you guys like that? Yeah. Does that feel comfortable? Yep. Okay, sounds good. I know.
All right.
Now you have to think, right?
Think.
When you're in front
You
of
have to
people.
remember. All right. Product user host.
Product.
So someone
user
who's like, they
host.
just want to be they're type 1 person.
Okay, and they want to host a class.
I'm gonna host a class. You say, I'll do all the steps. And they say, that's too weird to hand over all my friends and family that you don't know to reach out to. So help with that. And
I think I've already discussed that. What did I say, guys? No, I said, what would you like to do? What parts would you like to do? So they simply say, well, I have, like, let's say my friends and family, well, I'll call them
And everything
I
else
will,
is me.
yeah. Did I not answer that?
Second part, timing for I know. Sorry, my brain fell in my head.
'Kay.
Second part, they put their day in the calendar at the class.
Okay.
Now we're doing the sampling process.
Yep.
And we want to sample them until they have a positive experience with the oils. So how does that work with some of the timing? Those people does not come to the class? membership question.
Why do we go 2 weeks out for the class? To give them time.
But there will always be people who
Then
it takes
those-
more than 2 weeks. So
Then those people that they can do one-on-ones with after.
okay.
Yeah. But usually, if you're in that sampling process, it usually doesn't take more than 2 weeks. It really doesn't. For builders, it might take longer, but we're talking about people that, usually doesn't take more than 2 weeks. If you do have a few people, that's a good question, by the way. Not that the other ones weren't.
I tried.
But let's say you have 10 people, that they give you a list of 10, right? And let's say seven of them have a great experience, then you invite those to the class. And the other one, when they end up having a good experience, you can do a one-on-one with them.
Thank you very much.
Which brings us to our next question of one-on-ones, right? So are we clear with hostesses? Are we super clear, or would you have a lot more questions? You do? Okay, I still have a few more minutes. If you want to come up, we'll take like 4 more questions for hostesses. Okay, this girl in the back's trying really hard, so stop here, stop here. Oh, stop. The back people don't ever get a chance to talk. Because you have to be super fast, right? 1, 2, 3, and then you two right here, and then you can come up. Okay, we're done. We are done. We're done. Maybe they'll have the answers to no to you. Okay. All right, next. Go ahead.
I'm not super clear on when they give you the list, they don't want to contact their people, they give you their list of people. How do you call, what do you say to the people that you don't know that you want to invite to the person they know?
Most of the time they don't give you a full list because they want to call their people anyway first. But if they did, what would you guys say? Think this through. What would you say? Hi, I'm a friend of Sarah's. She asked me to give you a call because she thought you would really, really enjoy. Does that make sense? You just go through the exact process, but you just put why you're calling and who's sending you to call. That's what you do. And
They won't be if they're not calling their own.
but they can text them.
True.
And that's a super easy thing for them to do is just say, hey, I'm excited, da-da-da. Somebody's going to be calling you and telling you a bunch about this. And then you just call, you go through the same script and you just tell them, hey, Sarah, what's your name?
Sarah.
Hey, is Sarah? Cool. So it literally sounds like this. So I'm calling Julie, okay? I'm like, hey, Julie, hey, did you get a text from Sarah? Whether she did or not, right? This is Allyse. Sarah had such great experiences with essential oils and she loves you so much. She actually asked me to call you and give you the opportunity to have the same experience with some free essential oils. Let me tell you, and then you go through the script. You just did that. You see how it goes. I mean, obviously, what's more effective? It's more effective for them to call and for them to go through all the steps. What's actually the most effective thing is when you host your own class, right? And you do it all. Nothing gets better than that. And then next, if a hostess does everything, and then it just goes down down to effectiveness. And you're never going to get as good as when you do it yourself. But we try and at least get better than people just like calling and saying, come on Thursday, and 3 show up. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, cool. Bye, Sarah. Okay, next. Here we go.
Can we talk about the enrollment forms and
No.
having doTERRA have the credit card not
This
being
is
on
not
there?
hosting.
We're hosting. We're at a class.
Okay,
We're
okay.
handing out the enrollment forms, and there's no credit card box on the sheet.
We are hosting. Okay, so I can't talk to you about that. I'm not doTERRA.
Well, I guess just how would you handle it if you were
Okay.
put in that situation? with
doTERRA Corporate's right back there. Go to the complete section right over there of doTERRA Corporate.
Well, I think it's going to be big because it's a credit card fraud issue, and so.
Yeah. Honestly, you gotta call in to doTERRA Corporate or talk to your account manager.
Okay.
There's only so much that us as leaders can do, right? Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm gonna give you an A for effort for like tweaking that into A for effort for sure.
Okay, can you speak to me or us?
Wait, hold on. You've been up here a couple of times.
Well, you told me I could
This is the last time she can come up because other people can't. I like you actually. This is the third time you can take over.
Okay, so can you speak to us, or me anyway, and hopefully it'll answer some questions for other people, how you mentor. So for example, you have a class, someone comes, they're like, yes, I want to do this. And then you offer them, how much do you want me to do, blah, blah, blah. And they really have no experience in STEM. Oh, and they really have, so basically you ask them how much they want to do, and and they are really eager and they want to go ahead, but they really have no experience with essential oils. So now they're saying, yes, I want to do it all. How often and how much are you interacting with them so that you have a positive class? Does that make sense?
I want you guys to start, in the audience, start thinking these things through, okay? You can't ask me 1,000 questions. What would you do? Think about this. Think this through. What would you do?
So I guess I would be spending some time with this person and doing some education and maybe put their class off a little bit longer.
Would you do that?
Like 3 weeks out instead of 2 to give them some time and mentor
wouldn't
them.
put it out.
You wouldn't?
No. Because anyone that wants to host a class, they want some information. So I don't know what you're doing right now when you're prepping people for hosting. Maybe you're not doing any kind of prep. You just talk them through the questions that they have. It's that simple. Like, honestly, I think we make the business way harder than it needs to be, don't you think? Like we do. So if somebody has, let me give you an example. If somebody has a question and they go, well, how do I do this properly? What would you do? Go ahead and listen to the daily mentor call number da-da-da. Just listen to this call. It'll show you how to sample. If you have any problems, I'd love to help. Well, how do you follow up? Why don't you listen to daily mentor call number 8? Super easy, super simple.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense, complete sense.
Yeah.
So we have a system now.
Yeah, we totally have a system.
Even
So easy.
It's like, you know, I'm asking this person, what am I going to sample them? They're telling me this, and they have their book hopefully by then.
Yeah, and if you want to tell them, instead of having them listen to a daily mentor call, you can teach them exactly what you know.
I think it's just the
easy.
education piece, right?
Yeah, for sure. And they don't have to know that much. They just have to know how to sample and follow up.
I
That's
guess
it.
my question was if they're offering samples to people and they want them to have a positive experience before they come to their class, very much like you're doing.
I honestly think you can answer that question yourself. No, right now, in the mic. Answer that question.
Use the Essential Life book. Right? Let them teach them to learn.
Okay, no, hold on.
I think
Okay. I don't understand what the question is, maybe. Go ahead.
So when we're sampling, normally, as you know, someone who's a wellness advocate, we do a class. We
Yep.
sample someone when they have a positive experience. They come to the class.
Yes.
Now we have someone at the class who decides, yes, I want to have a class.
Okay, we've already been there.
Right?
We're
They're
not over there.
sampling someone and they have really no other than the experience that they just had. They're
Right.
very new to oils. They want to take the ownership to sample
so what-
people
so
and they don't
basi-
have any experience.
Okay, let's make that question into one sentence. The question was, when somebody is sampling their friends and their family, how do they know which oils to give them to sample?
Yes, in order to make sure that their class
Okay,
is
hold on,
effective.
but that's the question. So the question is, when someone is sampling their own friends and their family, when they're hosting a class, how do they know what oils to sample them? That's the question, right? So yes, the answer is, well, what I think is a smart way of doing it is saying, write down a list of your friends and families, what their ailments are, and then you just go through the book with them and you say, so this would be a good sample, 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 and this is how you drop them off. Does that make sense?
Yes, that
That
makes
ended
sense.
up being a very good question, didn't it? That was a good question. Are you clear? Okay, so now I want you to teach people for the next 30 seconds that, and I want you to get concise. This is what I can tell you need to work on in your business right now. This will be good in front of 3,000 people. Try it. No. You're going to teach people just what you learned. How do you do this? Super concise.
If you have someone who's at a class and they have no experience with essential oils, they've only been to their first class, had one positive experience, and they want to host a class and they're showing that they're eager to maybe perhaps be a sharer or builder because they're going to have their own class, then you're going to walk them through being able to support the people with the problems that they bring forward.
Keep going. How are you
For
walking
example, you're going to either be on the phone or be in person with them or on a Zoom call. They're going to go to the people that they want to sample and find out what problems they're dealing with. Then you can walk them through with the Essential Life book to problem solve for this person and know what samples to give.
There you go! I think she should do a daily mentor call on that. She's so good. Good job! Is that clear? Super. Did that help you guys? All right, next. Oh. She's really nervous that she's going to have to do that now. Are you nervous that you're going to have to teach?
Yes, absolutely. Hi.
Go ahead. What's your question?
My question is about logistics. If you have a really eager person who wants to host their own class and
Yeah.
they want to contact everybody.
Cute glasses, by the way.
Thank you. Everyone's telling me that. Thank you.
They must be cute then.
The logistics of, say they're going to do everything locally. All their friends are local, but they haven't gotten their oils yet because they just ordered their kit at the class where they're scheduling a class for 2 weeks out.
Okay.
So how do you, what do you provide the little vials and the oils so that they can start the sampling?
This is a very good question, isn't it? Yeah. She's like, that's my leader. Okay. So it can go either way. If they're a builder and they're really interested, and it won't be financially hard for them to do the first class, I will actually say, hey, actually that's not true. I always help them out with the oils for the first class.
So you
but,
supply them.
but hold on.
Okay.
I have a lot of oils, and I'm a higher rank. But I don't know that I would duplicate that with somebody that is brand new that's getting another person and that doesn't have a lot of oils. Does that make sense?
Right.
So there's one or two things you could do. You could wait until they get, because you're going to have a wellness consult and teach them how to do that after their oils come in. Remember?
Yes.
You have a wellness consult, so their oils are already there, and then you have a wellness consult.
Okay.
So at the wellness consult, you could say, okay, this is how you're going to use the oils, and maybe here's some sample vials that you can put your own oils in to sample, or if you feel comfortable, you can let them use your oils to sample. I usually do it. I let them use the oils from me to sample.
Okay, because I was thinking of the new kit with the 5 ml bottles, and they're not going to have a whole lot of
Yeah,
oils
it's
for
true.
themselves and the sample.
That's true. I mean, I think it's an incredible investment, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But for not every time. So if you have a brand new person, they don't have oil, sometimes I'll, like my Slovaks wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? So yeah, but most of the time I would.
Okay.
Good question. Super, come on up. Terrified.
So I have a situation where I have three.
She's like going back. She's like, I'm not answering.
She was
I'm
here
done.
for moral support.
Really? Oh, she was moral supporting you. Awesome. Okay.
So I have a situation where I have 3 classes in a different state next month with people who are not yet enrolled. How do you handle inviting and sampling for people who are
Well,
hosting
this is
for
a
you?
good question, don't you think? Okay. Yes.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Asked it so succinctly. Okay. So your question is, how do I sample people that are out of state?
And invite, and these are people I don't know. They're inviting their people. It's like my family
Okay, so
and my friends.
so it's not your personal classes,
Will I be teaching?
right? But they're not your personal classes with your personal invites.
Correct.
They're hostesses in another state.
Right,
Right.
correct.
Have they already sampled people already?
No. They're
Okay.
Not.
So the first thing you need to do, well, let's let you answer your own question.
Oh no, here we go.
No, no, no. Is this not what we need to get to? Right. You got. Let's let you answer your own question. First step. What would you do with the people that are hosting outside? Talk into the mic.
Okay. For the people.
By the end of this, by tomorrow night, if you guys have questions, you'll just be answering everything on your own. This is actually. I want to teach you something. This is how you train your leaders. If you constantly give them all the answers, then they don't think through things. Does that make sense? And then you start kind of just giving them a few answers, and they start thinking through things, and then by the end, they're like, I can do this, I can do this. Do we have it? Okay, what would you do first? I'm going to help you out, don't worry.
So I first of all need to sample the host, right?
Have they not been sampled?
They are users, but some are not moving, and some, yeah.
So they've not been sampled with doTERRA.
Correct.
So why did they say they'd host the class for you?
Because they love me.
Oh.
They're my family, and I'm trying to expand my market to my home state.
Yes. I didn't know we were going back to that, but yes, number one would be sample the
Right.
hostesses. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Number two. Now what would we do?
So I came up with a plan to send them, like, well, I know this isn't ideal, but to send them a text, like a script for them to send to their people. And then get a list of names, and I would mail them a sample, was my idea.
Do you guys think that's a good idea? I do think that's a good idea.
So I was gonna get their names, addresses and their top health concern, and we'll mail them a sample before class.
Okay, but when it's out of state, this is the one thing you have to tweak. You don't just mail one.
2 or more.
Yeah, you have to mail a couple because it's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It takes a long time. So yeah, and then what would be your next step? So you mail them a sample, and then what?
Well, we'd have to follow up and make sure they have a positive oil experience before they come to class. So is that?
So who would follow up?
If I don't know them, is that weird if I follow up with their people, or would I ask them to follow up with their people?
What do you guys think? Okay. You're doing really good. You're doing really good. First, okay, maybe I should put that in the booklet. Sample your hostesses first.
Sorry.
I step on that. No, first, I get it if it's your family. I get it. So, first, you need to make sure the hostess is on the same page and they have a good experience, right? Then you're going to sit with your hostesses or call them because you're out of state and do the same thing I just said, which was what? You're going to say, I want your people to have as good of an experience as you just had with the oils, right?
Right.
So, these are all the things that we need to do. These are the steps. Which ones would you like to do? And they tell you. If they don't want to do a lot, then you do it. Are we clear? Right? Then you can send the samples if that's what you've decided with them, and then however you've discussed together. If they say, "Hey, I'll sample, I'll drop it off, but will you do the 2-day follow-up because I'm kind of nervous about that?" It's just what you guys decide together.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes. Thank you.
Are you guys clear out there? Do you have any more questions? No. How much time do we have? Let's see.
Oh, okay.
What's your question out there?
In any situation, she has that. We need to make sure we have. Okay.
Mike over here. If we can turn on the mic right over here.
Is it on?
Yeah.
It's on. This is sort of a question. This is something I did in Diamond Club whenever I had out-of-state classes and I didn't know anyone that was going to be attending the class and they had never had an essential oil experience. And the hostess wasn't really qualified to necessarily sample correctly. I put people into a study group prior to traveling out to that state and gave them an essential oil experience that way. And then they were able to see me on video, and I could develop a relationship with them before I ever even traveled out to teach the class. So then when I got to that state...
I don't think this is a question.
Well, I'm asking you, do you feel like that's a good method to use consistently, to do a study group prior to going to teach a class out of state, and then you're essentially wrapping it up with the second half of the class? Versus doing all of that back and forth with a hostess and mailing samples separately and things like that.
So let me tell you something. Every time you do something with your team, whatever you do duplicates. If you want your team leaders there to know how to duplicate a very simple system, they will do what you do. Are we clear?
Yes.
So, and this is a lesson that's so hard to learn, right? So if you want people to know how to go out, give a sample, follow up, and come back, probably one of the things that will hurt the most is for you to do a study group. Now hold on, you're asking me the question, right? I'm not saying that it's not effective for what you're doing, but we're talking about the basic duplication model of sampling and following up. I think if it's more effective to teach someone how they're going to be doing it in the future, exactly how they're going to be doing it in the future, so they can duplicate that. Did I understand you correctly? Maybe
Sort
not?
of. I'm not talking about someone that wants to be a builder, though. I'm talking about people who are hosting a class just as a favor because I'm traveling, right, to different states. So not
So
really a
basically-
builder.
Okay, let's get clear. Let's get tight too, so it doesn't go too long. So basically, you're saying if you have multiple hostesses, you put them all in a group together and you teach them all together.
I'm
That's what you're
saying
saying.
I have one hostess, they're not interested in the business, they're gonna host a class out of state, and I wanna effectively make sure everyone is sampled and
Okay.
qualified to come to that class.
And so what would you do in this study group? Who would you invite into that study group?
The hostess invites everyone into the study group. I mail a packet of the samples just to the hostess, and all they have to do is disseminate the samples, and then I do the pre-education on Facebook so that when I come to the class,
What pre-education?
just teaching them how to use the samples that they have so they have a positive experience before I travel to teach the class.
I know what I think. What do you guys think?
Not duplicatable.
What do you guys think?
Could, but you're too much.
Yeah, I would have to say, I mean, it's your business, but I wouldn't do that.
But you're the expert, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't think I would do that. I don't think
Okay.
I would do that. I think I would help the hostess do as much as she wants, and then I would follow up with those people individually, just like, because I'll tell you what will happen with that. Any of those people that jump on, okay, and they want to share, or they want to build, or they want to, and in the future that's what we're going for, right? Then they think to themselves, you know, I could do this way more effectively. I wouldn't have to talk to individual people and follow up with individual people. I'll just get a bunch of people and put them in a study group together, and then show them how all to do this as a team. And I don't think it's going to be as powerful. I think that will duplicate.
Okay, because you never know, right, who's going to end up wanting to build.
Because that's what you want to do. You want to go out there and you want to find sharers and builders. And I think I know the power of doing this is at the very beginning putting that prep time into individual people and keeping your commitments and say, I'll call you back. And I wouldn't do that. But I love you. Anyway,
Thank you.
okay, one more question there? Yeah. Do you guys agree with me or not? Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, because I've always been curious, for people like me that had to save for a long time to join doTERRA.
Had to what?
Save.
Okay.
There's people say, well, if you have somebody who wants to sign up but honestly doesn't have $1 to do it, have them host a class, and then the signups will pay for the class. Is that you putting the people underneath them so they're getting fast start bonuses even if they're not interested in doing the business? Or is it you personally getting the fast starts later on, and then once you have money,
This is a really touchy subject.
Yeah.
Because when you get into enrollership, who takes enrollership, who doesn't, it's kind of touchy. First of all, I think it's a great option when people say, I don't have a dime and I want these oils so bad. I do that all the time. I say, okay, this is what we're going to do. You're going to host a class. We're going to bring everybody